just in relation to the comments about packaging and how physical, packaging is such a, like you get the bonus things. We actually have artists now that are looking at the digital realm and going, how can I, provide a special package? We have two artists actually. That one is releasing his album with a book, and the other one's releasing his album with a comic book. So all of that can be digital now, and they're looking into how the comic book and the book can actually be incorporated into that whole digital package, and it can still be used as add-ons. So I think the physical, whilst it'll keep going for a little while, it's very quickly being overcome.
I think what's interesting as well is that everyone has their own sort of ritual when it comes to buying music. Simon going into a record store and listening to it and seeing what else is out there. I have my own little ritual, which is streaming something or finding something via Shazam, and then going to eMusic, seeing if it's there. If it's not there, then going to iTunes. And I think it's all about that experience and what you make it for yourself, and everyone has their own thing that makes them comfortable and what they like to do.
I don't think we can underestimate the value of the internet as a tool, so far as how you're going to release your music. The internet has changed the way bands record music and produce music, because you can now do it by downloading software. Well, it's not the internet, but technology has changed it. You can download software and record an entire album in your living room or your bedroom, where you would once have had to pay studio costs and a producer and spend $100 doing it. That's not to say that all albums produced in living rooms are great, by the way, but suffice to say, it has changed the way we record and produce music. It has changed the way that we market and promote music, and we market and promote bands. From social media, websites, and the growing, incredibly statistically growing proliferation of internet radio. If you want to get, Christian-fused jazz punk radio station, just go online and type it in a search engine, and there's going to be some internet radio station somewhere that's playing that. It's also changed the way we distribute music and the way we sell music. So the entire business model of the industry has changed. If I was in an independent band and it was an emerging band and I was still finding my feet and I didn't have a lot of money, I'd be looking seriously at how to find my market online and to release and to promote, at least initially in that manner. And secondly, I'd be looking to retail, if you're looking through retail avenues, you'd be looking to Shop or MGM, really established record distributors who have got relationships with the major chains, if that's what you're into, and getting, but you've still got to pay some money there.
I mean, we have young bands on the label that come in, and I want to really do my album up, and they come into the studio and they do up their album, and then they sell 100 copies, and that's great. But at the end of the day, no one still really knows them. It's really picking up that fan base and doing whatever you can to build that fan base. So
alongside that, and as a web developer, this is a really tweaky thing to say, but have a proper website, because if you own your own website, you can own your own stats, you've got control of it, and you can actually properly gather those people's details. And you own them, that's something that you own, so you can then go to a label and go, we've got 4,000 people in our mailing list and we know exactly where they are. So I would say, as part of a strategy, make sure that there's budget and time put aside for building that whole thing. But all of those social aspects should be all pointing back to the thing that you own. You don't own your MySpace profile, you're just kind of borrowing it from Fox, from Fox, or whoever it is that owns it now. And same with Twitter. All these things fast, as a web developer, it's a really fast moving thing. Everyone's really excited about Twitter and Facebook, but you were also really excited about MySpace, and that's kind of getting a bit left behind. And we all thought GeoCities was amazing, and I've got some albums with GeoCities addresses in the liner notes. That's terribly sad. And the same thing, most albums I see have got MySpace addresses, which is important because it's a really important way that people consume music. But 5 or 10 years from now, if people are looking at that CD and the only web URL they've got is myspace.com, good luck if it's still around. Who knows?
If a band was to come to me and as a record label and say we'd like to release an EP, I probably lean towards distracting them from releasing an EP as a physical product, not as a digital product. An EP, you'd be lucky these days for a lot of retail stores to actually take it. The EP market, I don't think, is there anymore. It'll cost you exactly the same amount of money to manufacture a physical product for an EP as what it would to be a full-length album. You could make up to, well, a lot of artists still sell their product for $30. An EP, you'd be lucky to sell it for, say, $10 for exactly the same outlay. I don't think there'd be anything to stop you releasing the product as a digital product. And if you're going to release 2 EPs in a row, that means you've probably got around 10 tracks, which theoretically is a full-length album. You get it out on digital, build your market up that way. By the time you get an album ready to go, the songs have probably evolved to the point that they might be new songs, they sound different. The people that downloaded it on digital will probably go and buy the physical product or buy the songs again because they have evolved into an actual into a new song almost. I just think, I don't think for the actual amount of money that you pay to do a physical product for an EP, you get your money, you get your buck back. I don't think there's any issues whatsoever. Digital is free, apart from paying the aggregator a small percentage. You might sell the product for a couple of dollars less, probably going to end up making a greater profit margin than what you would do on a physical product. I think both of them in this day and age have to go hand in hand. I think you have to do both exactly the same time.
So you can never underestimate who will like your stuff out there. There are a lot of different people in the world, so there'll be some crazy folk that will like your crazy music if that's what it is. So, yeah.
It takes exactly the same physical activity to get to the biggest label as it does to the tiniest independent band. So,
one of the other beauties of digital is that they don't have to buy the whole album. You can make it come on 1 track, on 2 tracks. The audience who's purchasing the product can choose whether to pay 50 cents for the artwork. You know, they don't have to buy. They don't have to buy the actual physical product, the 10 tracks. They can choose. So your market grows exponentially there.
I think from an Australian point of view, the first band that comes to my mind is John Butler Trio, only because they never really ceased to amaze me with the fact that they've come from just a band that busked on in the streets of Perth to now a massive band, even worldwide. I'm talking to people over in the States and I'm referencing John Butler Trio and they're going, oh yeah, they're fantastic. So for an Australian band who is still an Australian band that hasn't sold themselves out to go and live over in the US to make it big, they've still managed to succeed.
Yeah, I think unfortunately John Butler's probably the one that we need to look at and take some heed and credit from what he's actually done. He still sells his physical product at $30 a unit. Every other new releases that you see are probably selling their releases at $20. It doesn't slow down his amount of units that he's selling. I don't think he sits on his high horse too high above from his audience or the people that look at John Butler as an artist. He's opened up his John Butler Seed grant applications that offers, because he's been in this position, offers artists a few $1,000s to try and get their career going. I think he's looked at how important his local market is instead of moving over to America, where a lot of bands will try and make the quick buck. And again, he's released another album, and again, he's still sitting at the top of his pile.